Welcome back to Red Cedar Radar. We are here yet again in the Breslin Center. We're missing our third member, Abby. She's at home under the weather. We miss you. Hope that you're at home sleeping like a baby at this time. Um, Michigan State beat Toledo as expected here at home before everyone goes on Christmas break. A pretty good performance in the first half.
Totally.
Let off the gas a little bit in the second half, which Izzo was not pleased with. I thought for a game right before Christmas with the students at home that the Breslin was pretty packed.
Yeah.
And maybe the 6:30 tip time helped because it wasn't super late on a weeknight. I don't know, but I was impressed. And Izzo mentioned that too in his post game, just that he was happy that the fans were able to bring the energy in the second half, even though maybe his team did not bring as much energy. Let's talk positives.
Yeah, I think the first half, by and large, was a positive. I think if you wanted to put it pretty simply, you could say first half positive, second half not so positive. I think, especially in that first half, Michigan State was able to do a lot of what they want to do, pushing the pace in transition, getting a lot of easy buckets that way, dominated the glass. I think well over halfway through the first half, Jackson Kohler was out rebounding Toledo, and just all across the board from Cooper, McCullough, even the guards, just really out physically Toledo, getting a lot of extra opportunities on the offensive glass. Really just imposing their will, which was what you want to see in a game like this.
Right. Jackson Kohler outworking the entire city of Toledo.
Yep.
That is how he should perform in a game like this as a veteran, and I was happy to see that. We've had a little bit of up and down with what we've been seeing from a couple different players, especially in the guard position. I feel like there's a little bit of round robin happening there. But I was pleased tonight with the guard play overall. I thought everyone that got a rotation, which everyone got decent minutes, I feel like they came out and filled the role as they should. I didn't feel like when any guy entered the court that there was a letdown at that position, which is nice to see, and it's nice to see that depth is continuing and building. Izzo's mentioned that maybe that will get cut down a little bit, as it usually does throughout the year, but I was pleased by their play because that has been a little bit up in the air with what that rotation will be like for a while now.
Yeah, I don't think the best version of this team is having 6 guys getting minutes at that 1 and 2 position. I still think, obviously, it's how it's been the last couple games, but I still think the best version of this team is with Divine kind of backing up Jeremy at the point guard position, and then really finding what's working at that 2 guard position, whether that's Kerr Tang or even having Scott come in those minutes. I just think that's a lot to ask of Denon Mojic to kind of be that backup point guard. I think you get a lot more from Divine, and then especially with Kerr Tang shooting the way he did tonight, I think having him kind of get a lot of those minutes in the 2 guard position. But these couple weeks kind of around Christmas with some of these games gives Izzo the opportunity to kind of experiment with that, to kind of see what he can get from those different guys in different positions. But yeah, I think once we get to the new year and conference play starts back up again, I would expect kind of that rotation to shrink a little bit and be a little bit more consistent as conference play gets going.
I agree. So that kind of leads me into player of the game or, standout performance. For me, it's going to go Kerr Tang. Total of 14 points on the night. He has been up and down, and maybe with the different starting rotation that's happened, maybe that is enough for him to try to get his shooting in order and solidify that position for himself as a guy that can fill that role going forward, because it is a race for that spot. And Izzo even said, I'm not maybe going to be the one that's going to decide that. It's going to be them.
Yeah.
And so if you continue to play that way, just coming off the bench, I feel like you're putting a positive foot forward for yourself to have that spot.
Yeah, I think with Tang, Izzo's kind of harped a little bit just on needing to improve defensively, but if he's hitting shots like that, regardless of what his output is defensively, it's going to be really hard to keep him off the court. Other standout performance, obviously, like Jeremy and Jackson Kohler kind of just got there what they are typically getting and giving to this team.
Yes.
But I was really happy with the way that Jesse McCullough played today. I know Izzo talked about it in his post-game press conference that at times seemed like Cooper and Kohler were kind of getting gassed, and being able to have a guy like McCullough kind of getting more comfortable, especially rebounding the ball, have 7 rebounds on the night is really good for this team, because there's going to be nights in Big Ten play when maybe guys are in the weather or in foul trouble where they need somebody off the bench to be able to pick up those minutes. And the more and more comfortable that McCullough gets, he provides you opportunity to get some points from the outside. He's getting more comfortable in the post too. But then with the rebounding, I think the more and more he can get comfortable, the better this team is going to be able to perform, especially because anything can really happen in some of these Big Ten games. You don't know what's going to happen. Somebody gets banged up. Somebody is in foul trouble, and being able to count on those minutes from McCullough and to be a reliable presence off the bench is a good sign for this team come January, February.
Yeah, and something that they were maybe missing at the beginning of the year as he was still finding his footing. Along with that, I think Izzo said he was impressed by his efficiency. And I feel like that's a buzzword that Izzo really likes to focus on with guys.
Yeah, and I think that's something with Jesse that he's getting better and better at is kind of knowing when to kind of pass the ball or to keep the ball. I think early in the season, sometimes that he would get the ball, and whether or not he was getting good looks was kind of forcing things. And I think the more he can kind of understand himself, understand how the defense is playing him, and kind of know when it's good to kind of go up with the ball or when it's good to dish it out to one of his teammates, the more he can kind of get that maturity, kind of feel for the game, the better. But he has been developing pretty well. I think this season, after redshirting last year and kind of working into the rotation this year, overall it's been a positive sign.
It did seem like Cam Ward was back to more of himself after that wrist injury. It didn't seem like that was holding him back too much tonight, although like not a huge notable night, but that was just something. 17 minutes out there, that's probably an increase from what he saw in last game. I don't know exactly, but
I think definitely obviously in the Duke game, in Penn State game, he was pretty limited just due to his risk. It seemed to be kind of back to his normal self a little bit. Tonight was aggressive on the boards. I think with 6 rebounds. Got fouled on a couple baskets that he had. I think just that athletic presence, the energy he brings on this team, kind of similar to McCullough, just being able to give Kohler and Cooper breaks, but to have that guy that you can count on rebounding the ball, diving after loose balls. The more and more he kind of gets back into the rhythm after missing a couple games, the better for this team.
I think the last thing that we should end on is the excitement at the end of the game. So Brennan and Colin Walton, the twins, that are on the scout team for Michigan State, hitting back-to-back 3-point shots like it was nothing. Happy for them. Happy for everyone in the crowd that really hyped them up. I think that's great to see this time of year, because these are the chances that those guys get to get out on the court. And probably couldn't have gone any better than back-to-back 3-point shots. So a positive.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you have some of these walk-ons come in the game and get buckets and kind of be treated as like almost like a charity case, giving them sympathy cheers. But Izzo kind of pushed back on that a little bit after the game, talking about how hard these guys work in practice on the scout team, how many shots they are making in practice against the starters. So it's kind of cool to be able to get these guys opportunity to showcase that in front of a full Breslin center, because even though kind of their impact isn't seen as much on the court, their impact is felt a lot in practices, helping get the rest of the team ready for these games and having to wear a lot of different hats in practice. So it's cool to kind of see that hard work pay off for both those guys.
Can you imagine getting the call from Izzo that's like, hey, I love how you guys play. Don't go to CMU. I want you to walk on. Like, imagine hanging up that phone call. You'd be like, is this real? Pinch me. Like, that's crazy. And I like that Izzo told that story to go along with what they did tonight, because I think it just puts into perspective what they mean to the team and what they mean to Izzo.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I probably would have gotten a couple of those calls if Izzo had my number coming out of high school. I mean, obviously he probably lost it somewhere along the way. But yeah, I mean, it just shows the respect that Izzo has for both these guys, that he would go out of his way to call them and say, hey, like, you guys need to be playing in college. You guys are too good, too athletic to not be playing. And seeing, that just that trust and belief that Izzo has for really all of his players. And for two guys that you don't necessarily see, like I said, on the court, it's just cool to be able to see that some of that, the fruit of that hard work that they're putting in and day out for this team.
One more thought that I had while we were talking about this, and it kind of maybe goes along with this theme. I love listening to the opposing coaches that come to the Breslin because they always come out in the post-game presser first. And I love when they say that they have a hard time getting scheduled, but they don't have a hard time getting scheduled with Izzo. And like a while ago, I talked with a couple guys in the locker room about like what it means to have a schedule like they do. And they all said like, we love it. We eat it up. That's what we want. And so many of the opposing coaches have just said like, yeah, nobody will play us. They don't want to have these games. They don't want to be tested, by maybe a lower, division team. And I don't know. I just like the way that Izzo schedules his team and puts them through the ringer a little bit. I don't know. That's just something that every time an opposing coach says that, I'm just like, this is the place to be.
Yeah, it is tough for some of these programs like Toledo that's won their league several times in recent history because they're kind of in that in-between where they have success at their level to the point where some of these major programs don't want to play them because they know they're going to be a tough opponent and they don't want to have that affect their seeding or record come the end of this season. But Izzo is never going to shy away from any of those matchups. I mean, we see it with the way he schedules. He always wants to have not only those high major programs early in the year, but also have these really talented mid-major teams who really other teams don't want to play because they have talented guys on their team and they don't want to get exposed in that way.
For a guy like Sonny Wilson to drop 29 points in the Breslin Center, he's not at Toledo next year. Like, I don't think if he continues to have a year like that where he can put up those numbers in his own league, like, I imagine he's someone that gets an opportunity to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see guys like that on these mid-major teams maybe go off for 20-some points, but they'll have 30 shots. But for Wilson, I think he had 15 attempted shots on the night, so did it super efficiently against a pretty elite defense in Michigan State. That just shows, the talent. And another reason why a lot of these coaches are having trouble getting teams like Michigan State to play them because they have guys like this Sonny Wilson. You don't want to get too much tape out there because you don't want to lose them next year. You want to be able to keep them. It's kind of that balancing act because you want him to play at his potential at the level he's capable, but then you also don't want these other programs scooping in and kind of poaching him.
It would be really interesting to know what coaches at that level think because now with the transfer portal and NIL the way it is, do you feel like you're developing guys to keep or do you feel like you're developing guys to go on to the next level? I feel like it's kind of becoming the second one. Bit.
I mean, it's kind of a hard balance to find, because you want your guys to have success, where they're getting those looks from other teams, but you also don't want those teams to be stealing those guys. So, and it's not really much these programs can do because they just really can't compete with NIL and kind of the resources that some of these other programs have. So it's a really tough spot for a lot of these mid-major coaches right now who do want to develop guys and see them kind of be in their program for more than just 1 or 2 years. But then if they do develop those guys in 1 or 2 years, it's really hard to keep those guys for a third or fourth year.
And if you're a coach, we're going way off for a second, but like if you're a coach that's developing those guys all the time and they're going on to the next level, then are you getting looks as a coach to then go on to the next level? Like this is a whole business now, maybe much more than it used to be. And I feel like these games are opportunities where you can showcase like I can coach at this level, I can develop guys to play at this level. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something that I haven't really ever thought of before, but these post-game interviews always get me thinking about that world because that's not something that we experience here at the Breslin.
Totally, and it's something that a lot of these coaches haven't had to experience outside of the last couple of seasons, you know, where before you would be able to maybe keep these guys for all 4 years, and now it's this balancing act of developing them, getting them to kind of help your team as much as you can, but then also realizing that at some point, other teams are going to start looking at your roster and seeing what they can get for themselves.
I think we're experts on this topic now. After having that discussion, I think someone should hire us to do some sort of coaching.
Yeah, we need to do consulting for some of these coaches on how to keep and retain.
Yeah, follow along for that.
Yes.
We'll be there next. Thanks so much for tuning in to Red Cedar Radar. Post-game episodes will continue throughout the season. Check out the We Got It podcast. Do you do weekly episodes?
Yeah, weekly episodes.
I probably asked for weekly episodes. Check them out anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Same for Red Cedar Radar. Subscribe to Spartans Illustrated. We got a lot of good stuff. And we will see you next time. Probably at Little Caesars Arena. I'll be there. Ryan, Austin. So a different crew of us will be, and hopefully I can wrangle them after the game and we can give you another post-game episode. Thanks so much and have a great day, night, whenever you're listening. Bye.
See ya.